Hey everyone, happy Sunday. Um, got a really cool guest today. He actually messaged me, or I forget if I messaged him. He started following me on Instagram, and his name is Nikki Wix. And I'm gonna let him introduce himself because he's a artist and he's into my work. And I just wanted to bring you guys some really cool conversations. That's about it. Hey, brother.
Hey Micah, how you doing, man?
I'm good. How are you?
Very good. Thanks for having me on the show. Thank you.
Yeah, no, I would love to. I absolutely would love it. I was very excited when I forget who reached out to who first. I know you followed me, and then I followed you back, and then I forget who started the conversation. But you're an artist, right? Do you want to tell people what you've been on and what you do?
Yeah, so my name is Nikki Wix. I've been an artist since I was 14 years of age. Playing with rock bands and stuff like that. Started off in a garage. Had no idea about media and all those things. We were just like a raw garage band going playing shows and stuff. And I wanted one day then to kind of take it a step further and start doing original music of my own. And yes, it's been 18 years now, actually. I got to the point where I ended up getting about 20 million views alone on YouTube. I've gathered at least 50,000 followers across all social media platforms that I'm on. I've had the likes of the Teskey brothers, Dr. Dre, Jack Cure, the Marleys, plenty of a lot of my favorite artists ended up listening to my music and giving me the thumbs up, which I wasn't really expecting, and when it happens, it's like gotta pinch yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but
So
it brought me to a point where that's what brought me into spirituality. Actually, was it was a struggle for me, and I was just trying to figure out how this whole thing works, how the system works, and
right.
brought me down the conspiracy theory road.
Yeah,
That,
yeah. That's what a
yeah.
lot of people end up doing first. They
Mm,
they discover something and it just resonates with them, and then their mind opens up and they have to learn everything. Like once you turn your mind on, there's just no turning it off.
yeah,
um,
once you go there, there's absolutely no going back.
so what started you off in spirituality? I mean, I know this started you off in spirituality, but do you remember, was it a video?
No, you see, since I was younger, I think the first day I ever went to school when I was very small, I was bullied heavily for being what people would call a weirdo because I was into like aliens and monsters, and I was like drawing, I was creative, like, if you know what I mean. So I started naturally creating art, and yeah, and I started reading books from the age of like 7 and 8 that my grandfather and my aunties were giving me hardback books about banshees and ghosts and serious stuff, but to me it was normal
For an
because
8-year old?
yeah, yeah, like it was normal to me at that age because I got into it so young, but I'd
So you
experienced.
got lucky because you were born into a family that kind of fostered this.
Yeah, in a way, yeah.
Yeah, a lot of us, me included, we have to find our own way because we have like religion shoved down our throats.
Yeah.
You kind of have to find your own way. But
Mm.
so you've been into it since you were young. Your family basically helped you along the way.
Yeah,
Um, did you
well, it was
have
more my grandfather trying to scare the shit out of me. He wanted to scare me, so he used to watch the Poltergeist movies and all these things, and I'd be watching them like, but I'd get a nervous excitement out of it. I was more excited than afraid.
right? Well, you know the story behind Poltergeist, right? With the little girl that died.
No,
You never heard this rabbit hole?
no, don't think so.
Have you ever heard of? Have you ever seen pictures of a bunch of people wearing red shoes?
Um, no, I'm not sure.
A lot of the elites wear these red leather shoes, and they're made from human skin,
Shit.
and they wear it as a power trip.
Yeah.
And one of the Corey Helm or Feldman, or one of them was with a producer who was wearing the red shoes. And the
Yeah,
producer says, "You remember the little girl from the Poltergeist?" And he started clicking his shoes together.
yeah,
So she died, and then they made shoes out of her because that's what they do. That's what these evil people do. Not to disturb you too much right now.
yeah. I'm not surprised though. I mean, like the lengths they go to now at this stage, nothing shocks me.
Yeah, just type in.
Through all of that stuff where it traumatized me to the point where, as you said, once you go down the rabbit hole, there's no going back. You
Yeah,
know.
that's why I had to write a book series. In fact, that's why I had to write a fiction book series
Yeah,
because there's no liability in fiction. Number one, and number two, when I studied like 1984
yeah,
from Orwell, or I studied like things like the Da Vinci Code, or I studied Huxley's Brave New World. Or Philip K. Dick, Minority Report. I realized that to tell the truth, you have to do it in fiction, and that's what my book series basically is about. Is it's all this kind of truth, like what I just dropped on you. It's all this kind of truth in a story, so that you can learn and understand this. But this is all the kind of stuff that you can't put on social media, or you can't put on YouTube, because you'll either get demonetized or kicked off. You'll be lucky if you're demonetized.
now I know where I made my mistake. Then, eh?
Yeah. So did you have like a bigger spiritual awakening at a certain point?
Yeah. So I wouldn't call myself. I wouldn't say I was an atheist, but like Catholicism was a thing over here, and my family would go to christenings and confirmations, and but we weren't really overly religious, if you know what I
Right.
mean.
Yeah.
It was just kind of, I don't know, like a cultural thing. It felt more of a cultural thing, and I never really understood why people went and sat in a church, and you know but I was not atheist. I was more agnostic. Like I believed that, yeah, there could be something, but I was always very skeptical of everything, like in
Right.
general. And yeah, I think when up until the age of 19, I think it was around the age of 19 where I started to believe in God, because I had experienced so many things from a young age. I'd seen evil, I'd seen evil people, I'd seen UFOs at least 100 times. I've seen ghosts. I've experienced supernatural activity. I was attacked by a demon as well when I lived in Dublin, and it kind of opened my eyes to a lot of things. And I was like, well, if this exists, surely God
Yeah.
exists. Like,
Did you happen to watch that long video that I sent you? Did you happen to see my explanation of what God was?
yeah, no, I've still about 30 minutes left on that. I think it was 2.5 hours long. Was that the
Yeah.
first video you sent me?
Yeah.
Yeah, very interesting. A lot to take in. I would have to, like I said, I'm gonna watch that multiple times just
Yeah.
to get it in my head. Like, but yeah.
So how did you come across my work?
So I actually came across your work by, it was YouTube Shorts. Do you remember the movie They Live?
Yeah.
The sunglasses they were wearing, they were seeing things, and then yeah, this thing came up, diacin
I
dicyanine.
and I, yeah.
Yeah, something about the glasses like being could be a real thing, and I was like, okay, but they didn't spell it correctly because I couldn't find anything about it, so I had to see how to spell it correctly first. I think they deliberately spelt it wrong so they didn't get in trouble for putting the short up.
Hmm.
And then when I was researching it, then I came across your page, and it just had it was like a whole wealth of knowledge about a lot of other stuff, not just that. And I naturally started watching it. I was up until like 7 in the morning, like 7 a.m. watching your stuff. Yeah,
Oh, I'm sorry for that.
no problem. Like no problem.
People tend to say that. People are like, I got your books and I was reading it till 2 in the morning. I was under the blanket with a flashlight, so I didn't wake my husband up. I just got that message this morning. Um, yeah,
Yeah,
there's a lot that people don't know, and Wow. So that's great. I mean, it's. Do you find it to be overwhelming, or after a while, you just kind of like this makes sense?
Well, I'll be honest, I kind of got myself into when I was like around that age, 19, I just deliberately started to research everything, get books, try and find out how the world is working because what kind of hit me in the head was doctors are killing people, the media is lying to people, education is making people stupid, and the government who are supposed to protect us have us as the most expendable thing within the parameters, you know. And I'm just like,
Hmm.
I don't think this thing is broken. I think it was built this way,
Hmm.
and I need to know just what the fuck was going on. So I was looking for a band for a while after I'd quit another band I was with, and everybody I met would always say to me, "Oh, you're a waste of talent. You know, you're so good. You need to get a band." And I'm like, I'm trying to get a band, and it's like I was living in the twilight zone. I'm like, it's not working. For years, I couldn't get anything, and I'm just like, this ain't right. I wasn't spending my time wasting my younger years. I was trying to actually do something with my life as a singer, but nothing would work. And I was like, something's like fundamentally flawed here. And it just really sent me well in deep to find out what was going on. And then it led me into, I suppose, what we refer to as new age stuff
Hmm.
and, you know, divination and tarot, astrology,
Yeah. Well, it's
meditation.
interesting because if you read 1984, you know, like the Ministry of Truth is the Ministry of Lies.
Mhm.
For example, they name something, and then it's usually the opposite of it.
Yeah.
That's usually what ends up happening. Um,
Like national security.
right, right, or
Yeah.
the Freedom Tower, for example,
Okay.
things of that nature. Yeah, that's what they do.
Mm.
Um, wow. So so then what happened next?
So I ended up kind of getting too into it, and I was like, I was that fool running around screaming from the rooftops, trying to warn everybody what was going on, and everyone was just laughing, and I didn't mind too much, but it was the fact that I knew I was right, not about everything, but about a lot of the things because they're happening right now as we speak, and I was trying to warn people, and my argument against people when they were calling me crazy was, look, would a crazy man say that he hopes he's wrong, but he thinks he's not? And hopefully, one day, even if you remember me as the crazy guy, hopefully you remember what I said and it will
Mhm.
actually help in a situation.
I find that, for example, with what I do, how I truth tell with my YouTube channel and my book series,
Yeah,
I find that a lot of people, when they start to wake up, they don't know how to channel this stuff that they're learning. So what
yeah,
you end up seeing is it looks like someone is losing their mind on social media. That's
yeah.
what it means. But you've got to channel this. You've got to find what your talent is, and you've got to put it in there. I don't know if you've ever heard the song Muse Uprising. I don't know if you've ever heard the lyrics to it.
Oh, yeah. Some of my favorite lyrics, yeah.
Muse Upright, like they're awake. They know what's going on.
Yeah, Project Bluebeam, I think that was specifically about, was it? Or, no, I'm thinking exopolitics, but yeah, I know the lyrics of Uprising. Yeah, yeah.
Right.
Mm,
Yeah. It's that kind of stuff. Like if you're an artist, you channel it. If you're a painter, you paint this stuff. You know, if you're a writer like I am, you put it in books. If you're a musician like you craft lyrics.
Yeah, so that's what I ended up doing because nobody was listening to me. It's like, here's the raving mad guy. And I was like, well, everyone listens to me when I sing, so I'm going to start putting it in my lyrics, and but I got kind of caught up. I had a friend called Matthew. He's from Poland. I think I was telling you about him actually. Very smart guy. He's a Libra. But he was trying to warn me about a certain path I was going down because nobody, like my family, my friends, nobody was listening to me. Like they thought I was just fucking absolutely nuts. And I don't blame them in a way. But I was like, okay, if no one's going to listen to me, we don't stand a chance if I'm on my own. So I'm going to have to forget spirituality, forget everything. And I just started chasing the money and try to get rich so I could like keep my family safe when the things come. And didn't work out so well, and I ended up getting, and I don't mind being as transparent as possible. Like, I was highly depressed over it for a long time,
Hmm.
and it was this time, well, about February last year, I experienced what people would call a miracle, where I woke up one day with my lifelong depression was just gone like that, and I'd not did any rituals. I wasn't
Hmm.
praying to anybody.
Hmm.
I just woke up one day and my depression was gone, and I was like, okay, something bigger than me is really, really happening here. I had to look into it, and then I noticed, because I know that demons exist, and I seen the power that the authority of the name of Jesus had over the demons, and I was like, so I was logically trying to place this totally illogical thing and make sense of it. And I'm like, well, who put a miracle in my life? Was it Buddha? Was it Jesus? Was it who? What happened? Like, I just woke up happy one day. And yeah, so I started studying Christianity. And I won't say I became a Christian, because I'd studied it enough to know that I wasn't actually a true Christian, unlike a lot of Christians. No offense if there's any watching. I don't mean to offend
There
anybody.
are, there are. I don't know why they follow me and listen to me, but there are.
But I just I don't know. The more I studied it and looked into the Bible, the more it brought me back to the spirituality that I was kind of neglecting, you know, because
You know,
a
people.
lot of it made sense
Mhm.
at, at a time, because it comforted me. But
Right.
apart from that, it's just, once again, if there's any Christians watching, I'm sorry. I don't mean to offend. It's just, it makes absolutely no sense to take these things literally, the Bible. And I ended up getting attacked more. The more I prayed, and the more I got attacked by demons, like in at nighttime, and it just became too much, and I became to fear, fear God, fear life, fear the future, fear the prophecies unfolding, fear everything. I'm like, this ain't right. That's not God. God isn't fear. God is not fear. There's no way. I just can't believe that. No way.
Hmm.
If God is love, then that's not right.
I find personally, through my own life experiences, that people who have a purpose, people who have a talent, um, they have a drive.
Yeah,
The ones that make it, the ones that actually make it to the top, are the ones that literally never give up on themselves. I find that if you have a talent like writing or singing, and you're not utilizing it, it puts you in a depression. See,
yeah,
what a lot of people do is they go through life, they go through schooling, then they have a family, and they don't know what they're doing with themselves. They don't know
yeah,
what's going on. There's a hole missing in their life, because maybe religion isn't the right answer for them. But what you find is that when you create, that is the that is how you beat depression, and that is by creation. And for some people, it's having a family. You're creating humans. For some people who are entertainment driven like us, creation falls in that, and that's basically when you're at your happiest, and that's what you need to figure out. Basically, is you
yeah.
need to figure that out. So, when did your music start taking off?
Well, it started taking off before I was prepared, so it landed me in a lot of situations I wasn't, prepared to handle. For example, I wasn't doing too well financially, so I couldn't afford solicitors to look over contracts when things started to be offered to me, and had to take risks and learn the hard way. You know what I mean?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, there was a lot going on, and I was just on my own. Like, the only support I had was from my mother. Like, um, and she's a hard-working woman, but we're not like we're not rich or anything. So we just been tipping away, doing as much as we can, and it got me into some great opportunities. It's opened a lot of big doors for me, but I was just too. was too wrapped up, in chasing success, and I stopped enjoying my job. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah, I started to hate singing. I started to hate music. I started to
This
hate
is
everything.
this is why a lot of musicians, and I'm not a musician, but I know this. This is why a lot of musicians, their first album is fantastic because they have all the time in the world to make it, and
Mm,
then when it becomes this is how you put your food in your mouth, and you have to keep turning it out. The quality falls off a little bit, right?
yeah,
Does that make sense?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah. So that's basically what happens. So, and the other thing too is that like I'm near 40 right now, so if my work were to take off, I am mentally sound and prepared. I take good care of myself. I have this too. You have to think about like children or people in their teens or 20s who make it big, and you see them acting like idiots, or you see them making mistakes or acting like assholes. And
yeah,
you understand because that's their maturity that they're at that point. You know, that's it. There's just a light shining on them now. So
yeah,
you want to be in a good place mentally. You want to evolve spiritually before you face the limelight, basically.
yeah. And that's something actually I wanted to ask you. Now that I've kind of went through the dark night of the soul, if that's what they call it, and I'm not saying my ego is totally dead, but I'm getting there. Um, but it's kind of killed off the anger I was channeling to keep me driven. I'm kind of too peaceful and happy now, and it's like let the cards fall where they may. So I was like, but I still have my dreams, I still have my goals, and what I wanted to ask was, how do I, you know, hit it with the same amount of vigor when I don't have that rage to tap into to try
When
and
you're
feel,
when
you know
you're
what I
a
mean?
professional athlete and you hit your mid 30s, you're not as limber and as quick twitch reflex as you are when you're younger. So
Yeah.
what do you have to do? You have to evolve your game,
Mm.
and that's what you need to do. If you're in a completely different mindset right now, you can put out the same kind of stuff. But here's the thing: musicians, the really great musicians, um, their music evolves. You can hear them as they gain knowledge, as they do things. Maybe they take risks, Whereas you were angry and you were putting out angry songs. Maybe now you can just talk
That's
about.
the thing. I wouldn't say it was angry songs. It was more that when I had no energy and when I was totally down, like I would use the energy from my anger to make me do
Oh, I
positive
see.
shit. You know
Well,
what
it
I
would,
mean?
it would be the same thing too. Is you just need to go into it like the same way LeBron James had to change his game if he wanted to keep playing at that level. You have to change your game at a certain age,
Yeah.
because otherwise you're not going to be able to compete with the younger ones. Um, just stick with it. Just look at your mental evolution as a blessing
Oh, I
because
do. Trust
you're
me.
in a,
That,
you're in
that's the problem I'm having. It's
you're
an
in a,
asset and it's also a problem
but
because
you're in a
all
good
I was
place
doing
right
was channeling that anger, and now everything is a blessing to me, and I look at everything as I'm a victor rather than a victim.
Well,
You know?
that's what they say. Jordan Peterson says that. Um, what is his quote? His quote says that the pathway to enlightenment. I'm paraphrasing. The pathway to enlightenment is necessitated through a pathway through hell.
Yep.
That's why there's not so many enlightened people. Because how you've watched my astrotheology video. You know how I talk about the hero's journey with the sun, going through the zodiac signs, then he's betrayed, then he's killed, and he rises from his ashes. We all do that. You have to die mentally in order to be reborn. The
Yep.
Christians just pervert it by baptizing you so that you're born again, but that's not what it is.
Well,
That
that's exactly the kind of message I want to put right now in my music, rather than because before it was talking about the problem rather than actually giving a solution. You know what I
right.
mean? Yeah.
I think that you have it in you. Absolutely. I think that you do. I think that you have to realize you just need to find drawing energy from anger and drawing energy from love are not mutually exclusive. You could use both, or you could use one or the other. Just look at what it inspires you to do.
Yeah.
Because you know what? Have I ever told you what Picasso said? Picasso said, and it's one of my favorite quotes. Picasso said that, um, what did he say? Picasso said that the meaning of life is to find your gift. And the purpose of life
Oh yeah.
is to give it away.
Yeah.
And that's what you got to do. You got to find ways just to evolve your music. But
The way
believe me, nobody
the
wants
way
to
you said
listen.
that, I could see the number 33 there. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
nobody wants to. Even with your music, people who are into it, they'd be like, "This is the same stuff. This is the same stuff." If you evolve it, it'll open you up. You'll lose some people. You have to be ready for that. But you will also gain people who are closer to where you are up here now. And that's like the kind of community that I'm building with my YouTube channel and
Yeah.
with my lectures and everything. That's what I'm trying to do. I've
Mm.
lost people. I've lost three best friends that I grew up with because they're all religious. I've lost my sister doesn't talk to me. She thinks I'm nuts. I think my dad thinks I'm crazy. And you'll lose people. You will. But what you get back is worth a lot more. And you have a God-given talent. So I know that you know how to use it. What you need to figure out is how to draw that energy from love.
Yeah. That's what I'm trying to figure out, because it's a new thing to me. Not saying I never had any love in my heart. That's the
Right, of
total
course.
opposite of the truth. But yeah,
Of course. It's you
like
need a
I'm
new
not
muse.
channeling that.
You need a new muse. That's it.
Yeah.
You'll be fine with that. I think you'll be absolutely fine. So talk to me about some of the stuff that you found on my channel that you thought were interesting, or if you have any questions.
Well, yeah, the way you actually touched down on a lot of different subjects, I was watching one the other day. It was about the Wizard of Oz, like that. Like I was watching it with my mother. She's well awake now, by the way.
Good. It's
Yeah,
always great when you can share that.
yeah, yeah. But we're watching your stuff, and like it's just I don't believe in coincidence. So when I'm watching that stuff, no one could convince me that this isn't the case.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I'm not one of those guys that's like, oh yeah, it's all down to chance. And no, 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 no. That's
Right.
not the way the universe works at all. If I
Right.
found anything, that's what I found out. There is no coincidence.
No.
Ever,
And you know what
ever.
the interesting thing too is, Nikki? Even with the evil stuff that goes on, right? Even with the evil stuff that goes on, even with the um the esoteric stuff that goes on. For example, in physics right now, they're trying to find that one line equation that explains everything. Because the way the universe works, the way that God set it up, is that mathematics are the law of the universe.
Yep.
That's what governs everything. Karma and dharma is what spiritually guides everything. There's no hell, there's no Satan, there's no Lucifer. These are just characters in a book. Demons and angels are real.
Yep.
And when you watch the end of my video that I sent you, you're going to understand that because I'm going to explain what God is.
Yeah.
But what you'll find is that, for example, Christianity, you have to use something called apologetics to explain why there's a talking donkey, a talking snake, things of that nature, why certain things happen. But you'll find that, like with astrology, you'll find that if something looks so complicated to you that you're keeping up trying to put all the pieces together, it's because you're not looking at it the right way. Because everything makes complete sense in a very short, neat, compiled thing when you understand motives, when you understand reasoning. And that's basically what it is. If it's too complicated for you to explain to a child, then it's either wrong or you don't understand it.
Well, what I've always been saying is that everything around us, the universe, it's a library. We just
Yeah,
have to learn how to read it properly.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Mm.
So I'm glad that you and your mother are watching the videos.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
that's great.
My
There's
mother went from, thinking I was probably mental. what kind of fella am I after giving birth to all of a sudden then actually knowing a lot of this stuff is not saying I'm correct about everything, not by any
Right.
means, but a lot of the stuff is 100% real, and it sounds so unbelievable that that's why they get away with it. And this is just how it works. Like
Well, what
anyone
they
who's in
do
the right
with the
mind,
elite,
like my mother, would have never believed that because you wouldn't naturally come to these conclusions. The
what
evil
the
that goes on.
what the elites do is there's a saying: the bigger the lie, the easier it is to convince people. You just make the lie enormous, mind-blowingly big. And there's an interesting phenomenon that happens too, that I talk about in my videos too, where, for example, like whistleblowers, right? Or
Yeah,
people who are out there telling the truth. People get mad at them for telling the truth instead of getting mad at the people who lied to them.
yeah. I heard you say that earlier.
It's true.
That's been kind of bugging me now for a long time. It's like they shoot the messenger.
Yeah,
Like for example, one of my ex girlfriends, she felt compelled one day. There was a lady. She was drinking tea, and it was made from the tap water, over here in Ireland, which is fluoridated.
yeah,
And she just felt like how do you just like not tell them? She just felt compelled to tell the woman, like, look, you're drinking fluoride. You should probably not be drinking that. And the lady just stood up and slapped her straight in the face. Like, it's like, hold on, it's not my girlfriend that put that in the water. She's just
right.
telling you it's in the water.
They don't want to. They don't want to hear they've been lied to.
Yeah,
You know what the thing is, Nikki? You're raised with mommy and daddy. Hopefully, most people are raised in some sort of a loving family. Most people.
mm,
The majority of people believe that mommy and daddy are there to protect you, to be safe. They're there to fix your problems. They're always going to love you. They're going to this, that, and the other thing, right?
mm.
And then the lie is that society and the universe is going to do the same thing. And people believe that. They don't want to hear they've been lied to.
Yeah. Even when they have enough proof that like the government has literally been not doing anything good for any of us for well, as long as history has been going.
Pretty much, yeah.
And then when you tell them I don't think they have your best interest at heart. They just like, what? Are you crazy? Did the
Yeah,
government like? It's like, oh, lads, what the fuck? Like, there's no talking to them. But as a wise man once said, if you're going to tell people the truth, you better make them laugh, or they're going to fucking kill you.
that's true.
Yeah.
That's true. That might have been Oscar Wilde, I think.
But that's the thing. I wouldn't. I have two personalities when it comes to stuff. It's like I'm either totally serious or I'm absolutely joking, being a clown.
Which is
And
my
when it
books.
comes
My
to those
books are a
serious things,
combination of
I
that.
don't know how to put in the comedy when I'm talking about things that are very important. So like I was kind of like barking at people, not trying to judge them, but talking and thinking out loud, talking to myself also, saying, "Here, I'm also responsible. I'm not like being self-righteous or anything."
Mhm.
I I lost my ability to make them laugh as I tell them the truth, and I think that's when people
Well,
start getting.
for example,
Yeah,
where my books come in, because my books are basically like 1984 meets Da Vinci Code with
yeah.
young, wise ass kids. Like I put a ton of immature jokes and things like that to keep it light so people can.
Right.
That's what you have to do.
So of course, you see, I could do that now, but back then I was just too. I won't say scared, but I was just on a war path. I'm like, this means war. Like, so I didn't find anything funny. You know what I mean?
Right.
I
Yeah.
was, I was. I'll tell you the truth. I was an insufferable asshole because I thought I was like, I'm right, and if no one's going to listen, then you better shut up and do as you're told. Because
Right.
that was my attitude. I became an asshole, but I didn't even know I was an asshole because I thought I was doing the right thing
Well,
for
that's
everyone.
what it does at first. That's what it does at first. But you have to figure out how to channel that.
Yeah.
Because the information comes and your first reaction is to be angry because you've been lied to about everything. You know.
I had no idea how angry I was when I found out that there was fluoride in the water. Because Like mostly as a kid, I was trying to avoid eating like soft drinks and stuff like that, and trying to be sensible. And I spent like I would have been in front of the tap now drinking the water like about 8 9 times a day, just drinking water, loads of it. And then I find out at the age of like 18 or 19 that it's fluoridated. And I'm like, so because I was being sensible, I am now more affected than people who've been drinking soft drinks. I was pissed.
Yeah.
I was so angry, man. That was, I remember that being one of the angriest moments in my life, like, because it
Yeah.
was my sensibility was used against me.
It's more than that. It's in toothpaste.
Oh, I know. Yeah,
It's
it's
in
everywhere. Yeah. They
it's
have a
in
lot more than just fluoride, though.
it's in antidepressants. It's in pharmaceuticals. It's
Yeah.
in pharmaceuticals too.
Like it
And
says on the toothpaste, if you swallow the amount that you would just put on the brush, seek medical help
yeah,
immediately. But there's twice that amount in one glass of water over here in the Republic of Ireland.
yeah,
Man, I think what 40% of Ireland have dental fluorosis. Have you heard of that?
yeah. That's when your teeth become like white patches, white blotches.
Yeah, there's like lines going horizontally. Is that yeah?
Yeah.
Like little microscopic lines going horizontally across your teeth. That's nearly half of the country.
And it's all to keep you docile. It's all to keep you what it is it calcifies your pineal gland.
Yep.
That's what
And
it does.
apparently, your pineal gland is what absorbs the most amount of fluoride out of
It
your
does.
entire
It
body.
calcifies it. Yeah. Because it crosses the blood-brain barrier. So
Yeah.
it your pineal gland basically eats it up. And I
Mm.
talk about ways. I don't know if you've heard me talk about ways to decalcify your pineal gland.
No, but I'd certainly want to have a look at that. Yeah.
All right. So for example, things that you can do are switch to non-fluoridated toothpaste. There's a company called Xylee. Z.
Oh, I haven't used fluoride toothpaste in I
Okay.
can't remember how long.
Right.
Yeah,
So there's
long.
that. You
Yeah.
can drink tap water, but what you need to do is buy what's called a reverse osmosis filter.
Yeah.
And they sell them. They're like 200 US dollars. They're like 200 bucks. You set it up and it'll filter it. You just have to change the filter every once in a while. So you can do that. You can still drink the water. It will filter it.
Mm.
The other thing you want to do is, I don't know, is when the sun comes up, the first 30 minutes, or when the sun goes down, the last 30 minutes, just stare at it. Because what it'll do is it'll open up your pineal gland. It'll clear things out.
Yeah, it's
Um,
only recently I heard about that actually.
right. The other thing that you can do is if you don't have to do that, but get candles. I tell people this in every video almost. Get a candle, non-scented though, because if you get it scented, it's gonna mess with you a little bit. It's gonna take your focus off because you're gonna be like, oh, vanilla, overwhelming vanilla. But
Yeah.
what you do is you get a candle, light it, and stare at the flame for 30 minutes. This is a form of hypnosis. This is a form of fire gazing. That's what it's called. And that'll help decalcify your pineal gland. And
Yeah.
then there's other sort of things that you can do as well. Um, and when you have done that, um, when you have decalcified your pineal gland, you'll find that your um, your dreams will become much more vivid. Your you'll get enlightened. You'll get bursts of creativity.
Yeah.
You'll get just ideas. I don't know how you are when you're writing a song, but when I'm writing a book,
Yeah.
I'll, I'll have like a list of notes, right? What I'll do is I'll go to a computer and I'll type in something funny that one of the characters will say. I'll open up a Word document. I'll type something funny they're going to say, or a plot, or a line, or something. And then when I get like 10 sheets or so, right, I print it out. And then I have all these crib notes. And then when I come to write, I take them and I'll take a highlighter and I'll just go chapter one,
Mm.
you know, chapter one. And then what I'll do is I'll make a story out of it and I'll just start typing. That's the kind of downloads that you get. So
Yeah.
it will be the same way with writing. I don't know if you know of A rapper in the United States called Little Dicky.
So I know him, yeah.
You know
Well,
Little
not
Dicky?
really, of course, yeah, but
Right. You know Little Dicky, right? Well, he uses humor in his raps all the time. That's his shtick, is that
yeah,
he's a funny rapper. And he's actually a good rapper. I've heard him freestyle. He's actually like when he raps, he's good. But most of his stuff is just funny stuff. Um, Maybe you can incorporate some like. See, the interesting thing about musicians like you is you'll do in a 3-4 minute song what takes me a whole book to do. Like you'll tell a whole story in a song. Maybe mix the evil that we're all going through. Like go through my channel, learn as much as you can, have it stored in your mind, talk about it in a song, write something funny about how we can fix it or something. You have ways that you could build on this. You have ways that you can evolve your music. You're only 32. I'm 39. So you're way ahead of the game. When I was 32, I was just starting with astrotheology. I was like a year and a half in.
yeah,
So like you have years on me, which is great because like you're at that level right now. You just need to learn more stuff that they've been lying to you about. But use all that. I go back to the band Muse.
yeah.
Go back to the band Muse and how they do it. Like for sure.
They're
Uh,
great at that, yeah. Some of their songs now are literally the answer to a lot of our problems, you know?
they are. They are. And that's you. You just need to figure your style out.
Yeah,
But you're in a much better place now than you were before. Even though you were catching on and you were writing a lot of songs with the way that you were writing the songs,
yeah,
you can evolve now. And I think it'll open up everything much more because we're all coming out. All the it's funny because they call it new age, but it's
mm.
not new age.
Ancient, yeah.
This is as ancient as it gets. See, this is what they do is they
I've always
the
said that.
they
How
call
can
it
it
the
be new age when it's older
right.
than yeah.
Wow. So
Mm.
what did you think of I'm assuming had you heard of astrotheology before you heard me?
I've heard of it. Maybe I knew about it, but I didn't put the name and the thing together, if you know what I mean. And I think the most embarrassing thing I could admit is that I actually did wake up to this stuff a long time ago. And then I put myself back in asleep. And then I ended up becoming religious for like a while. Like, and now I'm back into this new age.
Right.
Yeah. But the reason for this is because I knew that demons were real because I've experienced them. And I'd heard so much that like about demons and divination and meditation and all these things that the Bible doesn't allow. And my thing is that if anything has this much chance of being evil, I want nothing to do with it. So I ended up going back into a sleep rather than, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I just anything to do with evil is like no thanks, just no thanks. That's why I've been offered stuff in music business, and I've just been like, no thanks. I'd rather go homeless again than deal with that crap. And
Right.
everyone thinks, this fella's crazy, but no, I knew what was going on. I knew how the industry worked, and I knew a lot of these things. I wanted to stay away, but
So you were on blind audition for Ireland, right?
oh yeah, is that what they call it in the states?
But why? What do they call it?
Was the voice?
Oh, The Voice. Yeah, they call it here too. Yeah, The Voice.
Yeah. Mm.
Um, how did you get on that? Take us through that real quick.
So it's funny actually the reason why I ended up on that show. Um, so I've been singing now since before I started talking, but I've been singing for others since I'm like 14 years of age, and everywhere I go, at least when I was living in Ireland at the time, because I moved out, I ended up living in Switzerland and Germany and Netherlands and got out of Ireland. But up until then, everywhere I'd go, because I'd sing every opportunity I get. So many people just used to ask, why don't you do the X Factor? Why don't you do Ireland's Got Talent? Or why don't you do The Voice and all these things? And I used to tell them straight up, I'm like, look, the shows are as corrupt as me left testicle. Like I wouldn't touch them. Like I wouldn't go near them, and they never believed that. You know what I mean? But they always tell me then, oh, you're just afraid, you're a pussy, and I'm like, all right. I just got sick of listening to that after years, so I just went up on the show to show my big pair of granddaddy balls, as you'd say. You know what I mean? And then I didn't expect too much of it. But unfortunately, I turned all four chairs and I ended up being on the show for like half a year. You know, I was supposed to go up, show off what I can do, and then go back and use the momentum from it to release my own single independently because I was trying to set up my own label at the time. So it's yeah, and it is as corrupt as I knew it was because when I went on the show and they knew I wasn't playing ball with them, that I wasn't malleable, let's say. They had to make up some bullshit, make me look crazy, and kick me off the show. So they came up that they made up some stuff that I had an imaginary girlfriend. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. Now,
Wow.
luckily for me, my superpower is that I never ever give a shit what people think about me, so it didn't bother me the slightest. But it was only afterwards I started to notice the damage it was doing because I couldn't get one phone call to get any gigs in Ireland ever since. So I was like, okay, I'm just gonna go to Netherlands, Switzerland, any place. But you know, because they tried to tarnish my name by saying those things. Because I was basically giving them the finger behind the camera and then doing
I'm
like
gonna
the on camera. You know.
I'm gonna link your audition video in this video. Um, it was great. What made you pick Boys Are Back in Town?
That's another funny thing. I didn't really pick that. Like they make it seem like you pick it. You know, now they know how brutally honest I am. That's why they didn't want to continue with me because I'm admitting these things when I'm not allowed to. Know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like I'd go up on stage and perform, and then I'd come down off stage, and they'd put you on camera, and they go, "Okay, so how do you feel before you go up and perform?" And I'm just like, "Could you not have asked me that before I went up to perform?" Everything is like backwards and they're trying to pretend things and they would choose songs and they would make it look like I chose the song.
Right.
So when I sang The Boys Are Back in Town, which I didn't regret at all because Tin Lizzy is an Irish band and the lead singer, he's one of my music heroes. Like I love them absolutely. And that was his hometown. So I was absolutely honored to, pay tribute to him in Dublin on TV in front of people. That's great. But I had song choices. They were soul songs, and they were like, "Oh, you can't do this and you can't do that." And they ended up like picking the songs then. And then after I sing it, the judges like, "That was, very great performance." Like, but it's very cliche. Why did you pick that song? And I'm like, I didn't, but I'm not allowed to tell the audience I didn't.
Right.
Oh man,
People
they
have
just
no idea. I was an actor
yeah,
from the time I was 14 till 21. I
mm,
live 40 minutes outside of Manhattan, so I was acting in the city. I was
yeah.
doing student films, extra roles, things that it's
Mm,
the same thing too. It's all fake. And here's the interesting thing too, Nikki. Everything on TV, from the cartoons to the sitcoms to the reality shows to the music shows, they're all scripted and they're all fake. So let me ask you a question. If everything on TV is fake, what makes you think the news isn't?
I would never assume that the news was correct anyway.
I know I
Although,
wasn't talking to you directly. I'm just saying
yeah,
that's how I explain it to people.
yeah. But that's the whole thing. It's tell a vision.
Yeah.
Yeah. Program. It's programming. Like I
Yeah.
don't understand how people don't get these things, but maybe that's just us. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
It's just everything seems so fake when you get to that level, right?
Yeah.
Everything is
Now,
so, and you
with that
have to
being
sell.
said, I wouldn't think to myself like, oh, I'm better than anybody because these are
Right.
my natural conclusions. Not at all. I don't see me above or below anybody. I
when
see,
when
but
when when they
I just
tell
don't
you
understand that.
when
It's
they
like
tell
every
you when they
sorry,
tell you in songs,
yeah,
I sold my soul to the devil, or you hear them say that all the time. They're not actually literally meaning you're selling your soul to the devil. What they mean is that to get to that level and to make that money, you have to fit into a little box that they can commercialize, and they will change you, and they will break you down, and they will make you palatable for specific people. I mean, did you ever see that video that like 80% of pop songs out there are using the same five chords?
Oh yeah, like there's a formula, and they're all using it.
Yep. It's
Hmm?
the same stuff.
Yep.
And then people just, oh, it's catchy, da, 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 and then they're like spilling this evil shit into your head. So kudos to you for not doing that. That's
Thank
really
you. I
um
see myself as a victor for that, whereas everybody else, because they don't know how it works, they think I'm a loser. But
see,
I'm
the
winning
interesting thing
clearly.
is that the musicians
Yeah.
that end up making a living and a good living as musicians that don't fit into those boxes are like your jam bands like Dave Matthews, Fish, Mo, these kind of Grateful Dead. These are the kind of bands that people go there, take mushrooms, and listen to them play for 3.5 hours.
Yeah.
And they fill a lot of arenas, but they will never get mainstream play. You notice
Yeah.
that?
Yeah. Oh, of course. And it's not just that. It's like even, back in the day, you used to hear music that was on the radio that had a positive message. Like, but it's just totally, absolutely gone now to the point where I think where it's actually waking people up rather than programming them. Like,
Yeah.
like
People,
what's the song? The Specials. Stop your messing around. Better think of your future. They don't put those lyrics on
yeah,
radio anymore. You know what I mean?
right.
It's all just sex, scandal, money, ego, violence, self worship, all of this crazy stuff. I
Yep.
think I remember years ago reading that the chakras, certain chakras were turned off and they just left on the sexual and survival chakra. So that's how you see the ads on TV. It's all to do with sex and survival. Like,
Well, if you look at the
pray if you're gonna get the girl, and you need this and you need that, and
if you
then
look
you
at the
have a naked
chakras,
woman holding a bottle of coke, and you're like, what's the connection here? Like,
if you look at the chakras, it's red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet. It's the rainbow, and it goes straight up here. They don't keep it up here. They keep it down here in the red and the yellow. That's why all the fast food companies have red and yellow. If you
yeah,
think about it, they're all red and yellow. Hulk Hogan was red and yellow. If you're thinking about this, all these
yeah.
companies are red and yellow because they keep you in the lower chakras.
Like I can think of a few off the top of my head. You have as well McDonald's, which is one of the biggest. Yeah, red and yellow, of course. I didn't know that actually, but
It's the lower chakras. That's what they do.
yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, because they
Hmm.
know this ancient science. They just don't want you to know.
Yeah.
They
So
want to hoard it to
they use
themselves.
color as well, not just symbols and symbolism to
Yeah,
influence. Yeah. Hmm.
yeah. So, what do you have planned? What is in your near future? Are you writing an album? Are you putting a band together? What? Where do you take this from here?
Well, the thing is, I'm gonna go with it as long as I get to put my message out. I don't care whether it's solo or with a band or whatever way it has to go.
Right.
But if it was up to me, I would have a band, like a full band. We put out like rock, soul type stuff, and instead of singing about uh, love the way my favorite singers like Sam Cooke and all those do, I'd rather talk about love in a different sense of we're in a war here, and the only way to win it is love. Putting out that message, if you know what I mean.
I'm telling you, you have all the components. You just need to figure it out. You just
Yeah.
need to figure out how to put that in a set of songs. Maybe you could do like a concept album,
Hmm.
like from the lower chakra to the higher chakra, and then each song could be like the red chakra. You could put like one of like you just mentioned, like one of those kind of songs. I'm just throwing this out there,
Good
and
ideas.
then by the time you get to
That tell you how far I've come. Like that back a while ago, what I was going to call my first album was, and this to tell you how much I was in the wrong place, going down the wrong path. I was going to call the album "Whoever Said Money Don't Bring You Happiness" is obviously buying the wrong stuff. you know.
It's
But
and you know what the funny thing is? If you sold your soul to the devil, that's where your mind would be. When you get to that level of fame, it is very hard to break through and make a conscious, because you have handlers at that point. You have people telling you what to do. You have press. You have social media. You have all this kind of stuff. You're under scrutiny. It's very
yeah,
hard to evolve as a human being once you're famous.
well, that's the thing. I was aware that this would be happening, but I naturally just this autonomous thing is it's inherent with me. It's like it's a fundamental part of me. So I would have got myself killed. Like I would have opened my mouth, even though I know I shouldn't. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
And they would have done, yeah, they would have made me out to look like I was crazy, or throw me in prison, or kill me, or something.
Well, look
I
what
know
they
that's
did.
what
They
would,
kicked you off the show and told you had an imaginary girlfriend.
yeah, like I've been protected. Like that's what I sincerely believe. I've been protected, so I must have a bigger purpose than just playing some music. Like if you know what I mean.
Right. Or maybe the music will generate you, the music will generate you the money, and then you can do your true purpose.
Yeah. Well, that's the hopes of it. Yeah, because I want to fund my own stuff. Like I don't want to have to answer to someone just to be able to put out a message and put out a project and actually help and try and inspire a few people.
Right. It's not music is not as pure when you have a deadline.
Yep. But that's the thing. I actually enjoy music now again, whereas before I was turning it into something I hate because I see it as something I need to do.
Right.
Whereas now it's like, no, this is something I get to do, and that's a blessing. You know.
It's amazing. So we're coming up on an hour right now. If you don't want to, you don't have to, but I was wondering if maybe you could give us a song.
I'd love to. Yeah.
Okay.
Mm.
So what song? I mean, I don't know if you need a minute to figure it out, but do you have a song picked out?
Well, I have a go-to song that I love to sing. It's one of my favorites.
Sure.
It's a cover song, of course. It's Otis Redding.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sitting on the dock of the bay. You know that song?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, let me get this going then. I don't know what the quality of the sound would be like, but
It's probably going to be shit, but it'll be great.
yeah. So is that there? Bear with me now just a sec, if you
That's
don't mind.
fine. Not at all.
You can hear that okay?
Yeah.
Yeah. Sitting in the morning sun, I'll be sitting when the evening comes, watching the ships roll in. Then I'll watch them roll away again. Yeah. Sitting on the dock of a bay, watching the tide roll away. Ooh, I'm just sitting on the dock of a bay, wasting time. I left my home in Georgia and I headed for the Frisco Bay. And I had nothing to live for. It looks like nothing's gonna come my way. So I'm just a sit at the dock of a bay, watching the tide roll away. Ooh, I'm just sitting on the dock of a bay, wasting time. It looks like nothing's gonna change. Everything still remains the same. I can't do what 10 people tell me to do. So I guess I remain the same. Listen, sitting there resting my bones. And this loneliness won't leave me alone. Listen, 2,000 miles I roam just to make this dock my home. Now I'm just a sit at the dock of a bay, watching the tide roll away. Ooh, I'm just sitting on the dock of a bay, wasting time. Because I can't whistle, yeah.
Yeah.
One of my favorite singers, of course, Otis Redding.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
Absolutely amazing. So what I want to do is in maybe like a year's time, and you can always message me if you have any questions from any of my videos.
Oh,
But
trust me, I got plenty of questions.
yeah, feel free. Reach out to me whenever. But
Yeah.
maybe I'll have you back on in a year and we'll see where you're at with the music and everything.
I can't say where I'll be in a year, but I look forward to that.
Sounds good. Oh, and the other thing, people, is that I'm gonna put the link for his the voice in this description box. He had a very, very fantastic beard that he got rid of today for some reason. So you're not even gonna think it's the same person, but I assure you it is.
Yeah, that's the thing. I'll be unrecognizable, but like, yeah, there's a reason behind it.
Fair enough.
Well,
Nikki, man, thank you. Tell everybody where they could find you and your music.
so if you're looking for my Spotify or YouTube or any of that stuff, it's Nikki Wix. But if you're on Instagram and TikTok, it's the Irish Bob. I have it there I put it down in my title there at the Irish Bob, B-O-B.
Beautiful. Nikki, man, thank you for coming on. I'm going to put this up right away. I'll send you the link.
Awesome, man. Thanks so much, Micah, for having me up, man.
Nikki, thank you. It was a pleasure.
It's been a pleasure, man. Thank you.
Take care, man.
You take care, man. Good afternoon.